You're sitting in a classroom, and suddenly you realize it's almost your turn to speak. Before you even open your mouth, your heart starts hammering against your ribs, your breath catches in your throat, and your chest tightens. A university student named Maria knew this feeling intimately. Every time she faced group work or a class discussion, a chorus of self-critical thoughts would flood her mind, leaving her mumbling through presentations or avoiding eye contact entirely. Maria already had a routine to handle her general day-to-day stress. For months, she practiced mindful breathing at home, learning to settle her mind and find a steady sense of calm. But if she could reliably calm herself in her bedroom, why did those same breathing techniques vanish the second she was called on in class? Being generally relaxed is a passive state. It works fine for baseline stress, but an ingrained high-speed anxiety response operates on autopilot. Stopping it requires a completely different tool, an active, highly precise mental intervention. Overcoming an automatic reaction requires you to take your baseline focus and use it to carve out a micropause. That is a deliberate fraction of a second where you interrupt the autopilot and substitute it with a conscious choice. The strategy to create that tiny window of choice is called pattern interruption and rerouting. PIR is a technique that uses your attention to systematically dismantle unhelpful automatic behaviors. The process starts with stage 1, finding steady ground. You find a quiet spot, sit comfortably, and bring your full, undivided attention exclusively to the physical sensations of your breath, the rise of your belly, or the air moving through your nose. Within seconds, your mind will drift toward worries, daily plans, or judgments. This is a normal biological function, and noticing it is exactly what is supposed to happen. The actual work happens when you catch the distraction. You acknowledge the thought without judging yourself, and then, with a firm act of will, redirect your attention straight back to your breathing. This cycle of noticing the drift and pulling your focus back is a mental workout. It sharpens your ability to control your attention, building the psychological strength you will need to safely confront your actual anxiety triggers. So, with a steady anchor in place, how do you bring that anxiety into the light without it immediately taking over your entire brain? You enter stage 2 by intentionally recalling a very recent, mild instance of the specific reaction you want to change. You allow just enough of the memory to surface so that you feel a subtle, manageable echo of the physical tension and the anxious thoughts. This animated diagram shows exactly how to manage that feeling using dual awareness. Notice the continuous, rhythmic background wave representing your steady breath, while a sharp, erratic spike appears in the foreground to represent that sudden knot in your stomach or the critical thought. Here is the point of friction. As you hold both in your awareness, you will feel the anxiety physically pull at you. It acts like a hook, attempting to drag your attention away from your breath and consume your mind with its habitual story. The core move of this technique happens the exact instant you feel that hook. You consciously and deliberately disengage from the pattern. It is a precise action, exactly like dropping a rope the moment you realize it's pulling you in the wrong direction. Once you drop the rope, you execute the rerouting phase. You immediately shift your full attention away from the trigger and push it entirely back onto the primary anchor of your breathing. The pattern will try to reassert itself, and you have to meet it with the exact same sequence. Observe the pull, interrupt the reaction, and reroute your focus to your breath. You repeat this sequence every single time the anxiety flares up. This action has a physical reality inside your head. Every time you choose to disengage and return to the breath, you actively strengthen a new neurological pathway, a pathway built on conscious choice rather than automatic fear. Maria didn't argue with her inner critic or try to suppress her physical symptoms. By refusing to fight the anxiety and choosing to drop the rope, she changed the physical way her brain processes stress. The final step of the practice is stage 3, settling and strengthening. You gently release that intense focus on the trigger, letting your awareness broaden outward to encompass your entire body and the sounds of the room around you. This period of non-directed rest serves a specific physiological purpose. It gives your nervous system the required time to settle down and physically integrate those newly formed pathways into your brain's architecture. Effective mental management often moves beyond the need to destroy anxiety, focusing instead on outgrowing its control. The practice of pattern interruption and rerouting did not erase Maria's underlying social nerves. However, possessing that tiny micropause gave her the agency to intercept the dread, anchor herself, and choose how she wanted to engage with the class. This micropause is a highly versatile tool. You can apply that same sequence of observation and redirection to catch the first flicker of workplace frustration before it becomes an argument, or to observe the urge to procrastinate without immediately giving into it. Mental disciplines do not eliminate life's triggers or guarantee a stress-free existence. What they provide is psychological flexibility, the power to transform an automatic reaction into an intentional, chosen response.